How did it end?
So that's where my next transformation of life came in. I was enrolled in a spiritual order called Azimi Sinsala. My spiritual father, Khwaja Shamsuddin Azimi, he's a well-known spiritual scholar in Pakistan and all over the world. So I enrolled in his spiritual order, and that's where he started grooming me. And with the blessing of my mother and his prayers, I started moving towards a new journey.
All right. And which journey was that?
So my wife encouraged me that, as you don't have any education background, why don't you start taking courses in IT? And in America, there is a trend that no matter if you have a degree or you don't have a degree, if you have a skill set in IT, you can make it happen. So I start, taking a course in IT, which was quality assurance. And then in quality assurance, I got my first job. And after I was doing, a couple of months of work there, a friend of mine approached me and like, why don't you teach people? Because my skills comes in, handy when I'm in front of people. So I
All
do
right.
teach them very well.
All right. You talked about your wife, that she was the one who told you to start learning the IT technology, information technology. When and how did you meet your wife?
Yes, so I met my wife in 2005. She was traveling to Chicago. She was a family friend of ours, and I met her, and I think I was impressed because of a couple of reasons. One is she's from a Sayyid background, and secondly, she was educated. She was pharmacist, and the way she carried herself, I was mesmerized with her personality. I will
All
just say
right.
that.
So did you propose?
I did not propose. So, at that time I was just so shy that, she was, till today, she has upper hand on me. She's more, educated. She has better vision. So I was like mesmerized with her personality. As I always think that, when will be the right time I'll propose her. So after a year, then I proposed.
All right. And both families were all right with the idea of the both of you getting married?
Definitely, I sent my family over here to Pakistan. They came in and they, went to my wife's house, and yeah, definitely
All right.
it was meant to happen. Let's put
All
it this
right.
way.
All right. So your wife was also working in the States, of course.
No, she came over there to visit the state. She was over here, and she's a pharmacist by profession.
All right.
Yes.
So then, post marriage, did she live for a couple of months in Pakistan before you brought her to the States, or was it an easy transition for her to come to the States?
No, she had multiple visa of America. So when we got married, a week right after 4 hour of our reception, we were in the plane and we were back to Chicago.
All right, all right, all right. So Azimi Sahib, you said 4 hours post your marriage, you were in the plane to come to the States. Why 4 hours? You could have waited a bit more.
Actually, I so want to tell you about that. Is like behind every successful man there is a woman. Everybody have heard that. I am a living example of that. Our marriage was decided in March, and then my company approached me. They're like, there's a new store you need to open. And when we talk about opening a new store, it's a 2 months of full commitment. You are on the ground with that entire crew and hiring, and all those things are going on. So I called my wife. I like, this is happening. What should I do? She's like, what you want to do? I want to marry you, but I don't want to let go this opportunity of my career. She's like, okay, so tell me what you really want from me. So I said, is it possible we cannot go on honeymoon, and right after 4 hour of reception we'll be on the plane? And definitely she said yes. And
All right.
we didn't go on the honeymoon.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, tough times do teach you a lot, and we have seen the lean period that Mr. Azimi went through with his wife and also on his own while he was a child and also when he was an adult in the US. But how did all of that change? We'll talk about that after a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Sky's the Limit. I'm your host, Umar Khalid Butt, in conversation with Nouman Khan Azimi. Now, Nouman Saab, before the break, we were talking about how you went on a flight 4 hours after your marriage boarded that flight, came here. You were quite successful at that time, but then when you went through a lean period in which your wife also helped, and in fact, you told us that she was earning much more than you were, even though you were doing multiple jobs. She still managed to earn more, and together as a couple, you managed to survive for those 2 years. What happened after those 2 years?
So, as I said, I was enrolled with Silsila Azimia, my mentor, Khwaja Shamsuddin Azimi. His teaching, I was reading his books, and it was giving me a lot of strength in that even though you're going through a tough time, there will be reward after your hard work. So, after conversation with my wife, she encouraged me to enroll into training program of quality assurance. It's a software testing program. So, I took that program and I got the job. And after 3 months, a friend of mine came to me and like, why don't you start teaching? Like, I don't know anything about this course yet. So like, you have the teaching style. So whatever you have learned so far, why don't you teach to your students? So that was my beginning of my own business.
But tell me, does teaching come easily to any person who's not taught before, or is it inbuilt?
I will say it's inbuilt, because anybody can teach, but if you don't love teaching, it won't come to that person who you are teaching to. You will be just delivering.
All right.